Mike, this has been a wacky NCAA tournament.
It's been wacky.
But we say that almost every year now.
It's been crazy.
You had said about 2 weeks ago that if you would do multiple brackets, you'd have a different winner.
If you played this tournament 10 times, I said, I think there would be 5 or 6 different winners. This is before the tournament started. And maybe 20 to 25 different teams would make at least one Final Four. The point was how wide open I thought this tournament was, and it turns out honestly believe I was understating it. It's more wide open than that, and it's a crazy thing. And I think there's a couple of reasons for it. I think, but some of it is just. Who knows? I don't get it,
I'm going to go out on a limb and say nobody had these 4 teams in the Final Four.
I would hope not. I would hope not.
VCU was, they call it not a play-in round, they call it round 1, but a lot of people didn't think they should even be here. They weren't even the best.
Including me.
They weren't even the best third team in their conference. I mean, George Mason was better. Old Dominion won the conference title.
I just want to say real quickly this. The fact that they're here does not prove that they belonged in the tournament, which everybody's going to say. Everybody's going to say that if you said they didn't belong, that was belong. No, there's so many teams in this country that are capable of making a run. It shows you the depth of this sport. But if Virginia Commonwealth did not even have a team gathering to watch the selection show, that tells me they know they had no shot to be in the tournament. So. Enough of that.
There were several guys from the team that, in their defense, were at Five Guys Burgers, and I think that's better than having a party.
Well, I enjoy the Five Guys Burgers, but you can hold the thing at Five Guys. They would not be opposed to that. I'm sure the Five Guys, if you asked them, would not be opposed to that.
They're getting a lot of publicity. That
Give me a break.
Burgers, good burger. UConn, Kentucky. I'm watching Carolina, Kentucky, and I'm rooting for Carolina. I'm a Carolina fan as it is, going way back. Yeah, Dean Smith era, but they're showing Calipari's following. You were laughing. I kept thinking, I should feel bad. The guy lost his wife. He's had bad health. I kept thinking, your son's a scumbag.
All right.
Trivia question for you.
All right.
Name the college coach that's credited with taking 2 teams to the Final Four. I'm sorry, who has taken 2 teams to the Final Four, but credited with none.
That would be John Calipari.
John Calipari. He has a 3rd team now with Kentucky.
Yes.
They have no way he's not been credited. Why? Because his team at UMass put him probation. He leaves. His team at Memphis put him probation. He leaves. Kentucky, you think you're not going to get put in probation in a couple years? Come on.
All right.
It's unbelievable how schools will go for people like this.
Well, certainly Kentucky will, because Kentucky, it's on another plane of being in Kentucky than it is anywhere else.
They've had Eddie Sutton as their coach, too, enough said. I'm going to root for UConn there, but I think UConn's been on what a roll this has been on. They won the 5 straight games they had to play, in 5 straight days in the Big East tournament. I didn't think they'd have enough left in the tank. And
I think Kemba Walker is now getting some help from his troops, which I think is a big thing. He's probably been the best player in the tournament so far. And it's, there's an argument to be made for always pick the best player, the team with the best player, and that certainly would be Walker.
You could say that, but then you could say Jimmer would be the best player, and I sort of that goes against that with BYU.
Well, but I mean, no, I think that's a different thing because no team was as reliant on Jimmer on one player as BYU was on Jimmer. But I still think that Kemba Walker was the better player.
I think the key between the two is Jimmer will just take. He's almost greedy out there to a fault. He's ball hog at times.
Certainly in the game they lost, he was. I would agree with that.
Walker looked at times to just get his teammates involved because he's covered too much and they are hitting the shots now.
Right.
The other matchup in this thing, it's UConn, Kentucky. I'm going to root for UConn. I don't like Calipari, but I also think UConn's a good story. Butler, VCU, it's 2 Cinderellas, but Butler, they're not really. They've been to the finals. They came within a long jump shot of winning it last year. They bring back a lot of veterans. If I could go to Vegas, I'd take Butler in this game.
Well, I like Butler a little bit too. I think you have a coach there in Brad Stevens, who does a great job of breaking down the other team, and their team plays as good a defense as anybody in the country, and they really do opponent-specific breakdown and defend. And I think when you have the extra time to prepare, as they're going to have, that's kind of like the coaches' rounds of the tournament, the rounds where you have 4 or 5 days, and he has that. So I like them a little bit, although VCU is such a crazy wild card element in this thing that who knows?
They've been crazy. They're due to have a bad shooting night because they haven't had one yet. Their coach, though, you got the intangibles you look at. He's got the name, man.
Shaka Smart.
Shaka Smart. Shaka Smart.
That's a great name.
Shaka Khan song.
There you go.
he is a hot commodity, not just because of his name. What he's done with his team, he's being talked about, Missouri, some other major college programs, which could have a trickle-down effect locally here.
Yeah, his lead assistant is a guy named Mike Rhodes, who was a great, great player at Lebanon Valley College, led Lebanon Valley College to the national championship, is one of my all-time favorite people that I've ever covered in sports. And he's the lead assistant there, and I think there's a very good chance that if Shaka goes on to Missouri or something like that, Mike Rhodes could be the head coach at VCU, and that could happen sooner than later because people are going to be talking to Shaka to the extent that they can because his team's involved. They're going to be talking to him at the Final Four.
Well, let's get it out there now.